What up, Freddie?
What's good?
Not much, man. Not much. Man, it's
Turn
hot
your
out this door.
phone. Shoot, it's hot as hell. Turn your
You know, I'm out here dropping people off. I'm out here thugging it though. I ain't got no
Hey,
my compressor's still out. Next week though. Next week I had that good air conditioning, boy. You going boy, oof. You gonna be
I
able to
had a
tell me
car
nothing.
2 years ago that used to have man. Every now and then they used to have that issue, man. When I tell you, I ain't that was like a man-made sauna right there. I used to lose so much weight in that car on the way back home from work up.
Shit, listen to some groups real quick. Um shoot, everything been good with you though?
Yeah, everything been good this way.
That's what's up.
Gonna start sharing. Yeah,
Well, got the whole shook up the world a little bit yesterday when we dropped that news on Gainer with
oh
fifth
yeah,
quarter.
that's big. That's big. That's huge.
Yeah,
Salute,
people
man.
didn't
Getting
even
that
know. They
thing
thought it
big.
was I thought it was a game. We're really the first group to have a player signed. It's just when I got COVID, we had to slow everything down,
Mm-hmm.
and we couldn't negotiate. We couldn't get the deal all the way done, but in due time, Amari, good kid. It was supposed to. It would have probably been. We probably would have went on ahead and announced it because I guess we got people here kind of falling in a little bit. What people don't know is our first pod was supposed to be a big like conglomerate, right? It was supposed to be
Yeah.
me and you, a couple other old cats with some of these young bucks. Just talking about FSU and where it stands and where it's at. But like I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have went on ahead and announced it then, but you know, stuff happens, man.
Yeah. So
Everything
we're
in this
gonna
life.
have plenty of opportunity, but it's still like you said, it shook up. It shook up the internet, and that's huge. And man, we got so much more in store. Salute, getting that done. But I know that's just the warm up. When they see what's next, man, it's gonna be crazy.
Right. Some housekeeping stuff. If you guys could like, share, retweet, do whatever you got to do. Try to get some more post inside drills with me and Freddie Stevenson. And again, just to let people know what inside drills is. Everybody knows what 7-on-7 is. That's where the pretty boys go out and they go. They get a chance to throw the ball a little bit, but the fullback doesn't get involved in that. But the fullback gets directly involved on inside drills, and that's literally hell on earth. It's hard hitting. No, there ain't no hiding in the inside drills. So if there's a topic and we got to talk about it, you can't hide, can't backtrack on it. You got to give your opinion.
Without a
Got to
doubt.
got to give your opinion. And so what we're gonna do today, and he'll be joining us a little bit later. Our special guest is, man. When you get in that goal line situation, man, you got to add another fullback, man. We got to go wham package on the boys. Three fullbacks in this thing, man. And so we're gonna really dive into what it's like to be in the NFL, what it's like to have a family that's people don't talk about them, but that's some royalty right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Gronkowski name, and other stuff like that. So we'll get into some of those topics. But
We got we
next
got a,
week, just be tuned.
we got a crazy
You said
story.
what?
I'm gonna tell it when he get on here. He probably don't know it, but one of his family members and myself is a crazy story.
Okay,
So
definitely get into that. That's what we always want. And but also just to tune in, why you want to make sure you stay tuned because next week we're gonna have a couple. We're gonna do a couple shows next week. We are gonna probably get Amari. Amari will be on Monday. More than likely, trying to figure out the times. We're gonna talk Notre Dame. We're gonna talk camp. We're gonna talk, his expectations for the season. It'll be a better like because we don't do interviews around here. We do conversations. So what we're gonna do is we just gonna talk, and he's gonna feel comfortable talking to two people who trust, know what it's like to play in big games, know what it's like to come into fall camp, know what it's like when you have expectations on you. So that's what we'll have. working on. We'll have our normal inside drill show, and then we'll have hopefully a special guest the end of the week, and that one might make the internet go nuts too if we get that one going. So again, today's special guest will be Chris Gronkowski, fullback. Again, we'll let him tell his story and the different things like that. But coming up in the news, man, just talking some Nola notes until we get him on there. Like, what are your thoughts on like the quarterback situation? Is still the key talking point for FSU. Who do you think is going to be the quarterback right now coming into Notre Dame?
Just from what I've seen coming out, it's looking like Jordan Travis is winning the race from what I've seen, and I mean, that's been my guy. I've always been high on him, especially what he can do with his legs, and I knew that getting McKenzie in would be big, but I was like, man, how would he respond after that injury? His leadership and things of that nature play a big role, but I knew Travis developed as a passer and continued to grow. Man, you had a whole new dimension with the offense. Last year, I think, man, a few of the games that we won, we don't win if we don't get Travis. That team kind of quits on the season. So it's exciting to see. I'm looking forward to see how it turns out. I'm rolling with Jay Trav, though.
Yeah, Dre, the way he progressed as a passer was really, really dope. Looking at him now, I mean, he's a good kid. I think Mackenzie Milton will be there to provide like a really adequate backup. And I know people don't want to hear that sometimes because when you get the transfer, everybody feels good about it. But I like guys who stick there, compete, and I like Jay Trav for what he's done right now. So it looked like Chris is here, so we're gonna bring him on into the stream. Make sure I do this right. All right, you there, Chris?
I made it.
Sir, appreciate you coming on.
Man. Appreciate you.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and do the intro here, Freddie.
Yeah, so we got you guys. Y'all know him. I just posted a little video introduction of everybody to everybody on Twitter. It was your video from Shark Tank, and I'm a huge Shark Tank fan, man. And you may have one of the most entertaining episodes on the show, and it just shows the Gronkowski way, man. Tell us more about growing up in the Gronk household. I know you played in the NFL. We told everybody that, but tell us what it's like to be a Gronk and grow up in that household.
For sure, man. Yeah, Shark Tank was legit. So I think we're the only ones that will ever play Flip Cup against the Sharks. So got that for the record book for sure. Man, growing up was just like that. When they ran out of that back room, that was energy we had growing up. It was all out everyday competitions. Man, every single day ended in a fight. Whether it be over eating dinner, losing in backyard baseball, or just for no reason, man, we just fight. So if you won, you fought. If you lost, you fought. And that's how it was. 5 boys in one house, man. It was just all out brawls.
I know. I was telling James on earlier before you came on. I got a crazy story. It's ironic that I got you on. I remember my junior season. Me and your brother Glenn, we were he was the number 1 fullback and I was the number 2 fullback. And the whole, like at the end of the year, I'm like, dang, man, I can't seem to edge over him. But how did it feel watching your brother have that success? Like, we have an open conversation on here, and we all fullback. James played fullback at Florida State. I played fullback at Florida State. We both had a shot at the NFL. It didn't work out. But seeing your brother play the position that you played, how'd that feel?
Man, it was cool. We were both we're the 2 short ones, so we got stuck playing fullback instead of tight end. But man, it was cool watching him. It was like watching myself, but he just had a little better hands and got a lot more passes than I did. So I was a little bit jealous of that.
Yeah, good. I'm gonna pass it over to James in a little bit. We really just had an open conversation, but I know you went to Arizona. We want to dig into that a little bit, but I'm gonna let James take everything from this point.
Yeah. How many of y'all? So all 5 boys played D1?
So D1. My oldest brother never played football though. It wasn't like we were this football family either. My dad did play college, but we didn't play till high school. It was one of those things where my older brother Dan was just a beast, man. He was 6'5", 230 in high school, and he just he was forced to play football. So once he started, to me, that was the coolest thing ever. Then I started playing, and the rest of us all played. But the oldest brother never played, man. So kind of just started with the second oldest brother, and then we all kind of jumped on. But oldest brother ended up making it in baseball, playing D1 baseball.
Jeez, you need to tell your mom and dad if they haven't, go ahead, they need to freeze those organs, man, because y'all can sell that. I mean, four out of five, that's some incredible genetics, no matter what. Even if the oldest didn't make it in, you said your second oldest made it in baseball at 6'5", 230.
Yeah, so second oldest played football. Oldest brother ended up being about 6'6", about 250 actually in college, but in high school he was like 6'2", like 180, and just he was a baseball player instead. So never played football. But yeah, my dad supposedly offers, man, for for some kids, but he hasn't taken them up. So
that's funny. You got to breed that when you can get that, man. That's some money to be made. But so again, to have brothers play a physical position. This is a position that I actually accidentally went viral, but it was dope because anytime I get a chance to pick at a rival, I guess I should be excited about. But I covered the Jaguars here in Jacksonville, and I felt like everybody has disrespected the tight end and the fullback position entirely too much over the past. It's especially with Tim Tebow. Oh, he's a quarterback. Oh, if it doesn't work at a quarterback, just play fullback or tight end. And I tell people, what the hell do you think we do? Play tiddlywinks or something like that? Have you ever watched a game where fullbacks go? We literally, as my coach used to call it, collision experts. We literally go hunting to get hit, and every now and then they'll give you a treat. They'll give you the ball. I dented people's face mask in for 10 career touchdowns, for 10 career rushing touchdowns. The amount of CTE that's probably trickled into my system over for those 10 little glorious moments. I'd be damned if a quarterback can just come in who's never been hit, who has a green jersey, doesn't get hit, can just come in and take that position. What are your thoughts on having such a physical family, and even the fullback tight, we have to kind of say fullback tight end-ish position now?
Man, that's funny because so many people ask me about Tebow, and man, the hype was there, and he was swole, man. He's super swole now. But it shows you, man, it's not a position that everyone can play, and that's why it's hard to put a tight end there, because it's a whole different mentality when you got to go dig somebody out. I mean, it's not easy, man, and most people are scared to do it. So you see a tight end go in there, and he just doesn't have that same pop. He doesn't have that same mentality. So, man, a whole different position. But that's what we brought up Tebow, because you can't do that, and they released him on the first cuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, man, just all that came from us. Really, that came from hockey. We grew up playing hockey, and that was what it was all about. When you could finally check people, that's all we waited for, was that age where we could finally hit people. And when you start hitting people on skates, those are some big hits too, man. So if you can learn to hit on skates, that just transfers right over to football, and you're already ready for those big hits.
And before we get into, hold on, I want to ask one more question so we can get it out of the way, and then we can focus on the fullbacks. So which brother Gronk is the Gronk? I guess Rob is 4, or is he's the 4th?
Yeah, he's the 4th brother. Yeah, second youngest.
So is he always been crazy? Is he not as crazy as portrayed, or is that just really what comes? That's a genetic trait of being a Gronkowski. Man,
so yeah, he's just always been the goofball in the family, man, from day one. So he'd do anything to make us laugh. He was the one getting in trouble in school. And then he just never changed. So when he got to the league, he got the money, all that, it didn't faze him at all. So he just continued to be the same person that he always was, and still is today. So no, that's how he is, man. It isn't like a show or anything like that. He's just kind of a happy-go-lucky dude, man. At the end of the day,
I'm good. Now we can talk.
The name of the show is Inside Drills, and as fullbacks, we all know the significance behind inside drills. A lot of people like the 7-on-7, the pretty stuff. I know it's went viral now with the 7-on-7 age, but inside drills, that's where we made our money. That's where we made our name, and the show is themed behind that. We keep it real. It's hard hitting, and you can't run from it. Like James was saying before we started the show, if you're a fullback hiding the inside drills, you're probably getting let go from the team. So we wanted
This
to
ain't the
talk
life for you.
and ask about some of your experiences with the inside drill, not only in college but in the NFL.
Yeah, man, that was always a big. I mean, it was like 15 minutes every practice when I got to Maryland. I went to Maryland first, and that was like, if you couldn't partake in that or you couldn't blow anyone up, you were done, man. It was this next guy up kind of mentality. So
When were you at Maryland?
I was there. Let's see, 2006 and 2007.
Okay.
So first, and man, it was Ralph Region, just old school coach. Man, you just lined up and you went, man, all day, every day. Goal line was the same way, but that's where I learned how to hit. That was that mentality there. Went to Arizona, man, and it was easy once I got there. People didn't hit like they did, at Maryland. So inside drill then in the NFL was a whole different story. Coming in as an undrafted free agent rookie, going against 2 veteran linebackers all camp, and they would not let me get a break. They line up with the fullback that was there for 3 years, kind of fit up. I'll get in, and it was just all out, brawls, man, like just going at it. Even in walkthroughs, the day before our first preseason game, I remember lining up for a walkthrough, and we ended up meeting in the hole on an ISO and smashing heads. And I'm like, man, we got a game tomorrow. It's crazy. But that's how it was, man, for a rookie. It's kind of like the welcome to the NFL moment.
We talked about this on our first show. We did our welcome to college, welcome to football moment, really, welcome to college. What was your welcome to college moment, and what was your welcome to the NFL moment? Your first one where you're just like, holy shit, I got to figure this out.
Yeah, man. I would say welcome to college. Yeah, it's man, I didn't really have any moments where like I got like blown up or anything like that. But one of my favorites was when I was at Maryland my rookie year. I played special teams, and we had a back then you could light guys up, like you double team guys, right? So we set up one of their tight ends. He ended up making it to the league too. But the guy in the front line kind of held him up, and then I came in from the wedge, and I just I decleated him. And that was like, heck yeah. It was the first time my coach ever complimented me. And I was like, man, like I made it. Kind of like, heck yeah. So kind of the opposite of, but when I got to the NFL where it was, you're just getting crushed every day. But that was kind of like the college moment where I was like, man, this is cool. Like, cause I was a 2-star recruit. I got a last second offer. I didn't really feel like I should have been there kind of thing. So when I did that, I was kind of like, hey, welcome, man. You have a chance here. You might actually be able to play at this level. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, NFL was the exact opposite, man. But that was my moment for college.
I know. I seen a post of yours the other day on Twitter when you were with the Colts, and a lot of people from outside, they don't truly know how unpredictable things can be in the league, and they think a lot of times a player doesn't make it because they just aren't good enough. But sometimes there's so many things that are outside of your control. So kind of give the fans a feel for how unpredictable things can be in the NFL. I remember you telling the story, and I wanted to have you tell it on the show. Yeah,
for sure. So after my first year, I was released. I got picked up on waivers, went to the Indy. Never thought I would. Actually, what's crazy about that, too, is you're actually rewarded to the team who had the least amount of wins. So I was actually claimed by multiple teams and rewarded to Indy because they had the worst record of the teams that tried to claim me. So next day I'm in Indy, get there. Never thought I'd play there. They hadn't had a fullback in the whole Peyton Manning era. But because Peyton was hurt that year, they didn't know if he was going to play. They brought in a fullback. So that was kind of crazy right off the bat. But after my first year, they brought in Bruce Arians. And they had this whole meeting with me. They said, hey, it's like the greatest moment ever. They're like, hey, do you want to play like an H-back look? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to play an H-back look. Like, kind of like that wing back, catch passes, run routes down the middle, all that. And that's what I did in college. So I was like, man, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the best year ever. And at the same time, I also read a bunch of articles about Bruce Arians before he came saying like, he'll never use a fullback. He stated that a fullback has no spot in his offense. So I was like, man, that's cool though. I'm going to be playing like this tight end look instead. So about a week after he got there, I get a tap on the shoulder and they're like, hey, you're going to Denver tonight. I'm like, what do you mean tonight? So I literally got traded that day. They already had the plane booked. I got on a plane like 4 hours later and flew to Denver. And then from there, they just shipped all my stuff out to me. So as fast as that, man, I was like, I'm going to be in Indy forever. I thought I was in a great spot. Loved the team, loved the atmosphere. Felt like I was doing really good there, and then boom, it's gone just like that a week later after Bruce Arians got there. So that's how it is, man. And what people don't realize too is there's no guaranteed payments, man. There's unless you're a huge player, which only probably 5% of the team has a guaranteed contract. So even getting traded, all of that. If I didn't make that roster, I was done. If I didn't play or be if I was on the roster on that Wednesday, even if it was week 6, I'm not getting paid. So super unpredictable, and that's super stressful, man. Like that's a tough way to live when you don't know if you're going to be getting paid the next week.
That was one of the reasons why I didn't stick out. I got a chance to get some, as I say, coffee and beignets in New Orleans. And when I got cut, I was still in really good shape. I kind of still wanted to play, but like every week being stressed, wondering if you're going to be on one, if I'm going to even be on the 53 or excuse me 52, whatever it is. I can't COVID fog, or if I'm going to be on the active roster, like to play and just going back and forth. It was just like, okay. I'm not overly enthused with this. I don't really know, but like to be able to have the grit to even push through it, and that's very commendable, and be able to play as long as you did. Especially, I think all of us were undrafted rookie free agents, so that even in of itself is it's dope to get there, but that's commendable, man. Really good, really good right there. Actually speaking of that? So what went through your mind, like to be able to stick to it, and know that I've got an uphill climb, but this is what I want to do.
Yeah, man. I knew going in, like all of us did. You had one shot, one opportunity, and that was it. The thing that really pushed me, and my whole attitude was completely different because I couldn't fail. I was the only brother that hadn't got drafted into a professional sports league up to that point, including my younger brother, who went second round that year. So, 3 brothers all drafted, 2 in the NFL, 1 in MLB, and I just didn't want to be that guy that was like, hey, what happened to you? I didn't want to hear that the rest of my life. So to me, my mindset was, there's no chance I could fail. Like I have to make a team. I'm not going to hear this shit for the rest of my life, man. Like I got to do this. So I went into it, and I was a completely different person. Like I would be scared of myself if I met myself back then, because like my mindset was just insane, and I was doing every single thing I possibly could to make that roster. So that was my motivation was, really my family, my brothers. We competed our whole lives, and now I had this chance to get to that level like they did, and I wanted to succeed as well. So what went through my mind was like, man, I shouldn't be here. Like I can't believe I even have this chance. After my first year, I made I played a full year. I was like, I cannot believe I just played a full year. And then at that point, it changed from let's just make a roster or a practice squad to I got to get 3 years. Like if I can get 3 years, that's the ultimate goal. Then you get the retirement, you get the pension. You have the 401k, you have all the health benefits. So that's when, after that first year, I was like, man, I did it. Like, I can't believe I made one. Back then, I also lost all my practice squad eligibility. The rules have since changed. But from that point on, I had to make a roster or I was done. Like, I couldn't go back to practice squad. So at that point, it was, let's get 2 more years in. And after that, anything else is bonus. But if I could get 3 total, that's the best thing I could do to start, my life off on a high note, man. Get that money, stack it up, and then move on to the next thing. Because I knew I wasn't going to play long. I was lucky to get 1, and after going to a second team, I'm like, man, this could be the only other team that wants me, so I better ball out and try to do the best I can. And got 3. Contract ended, signed for a 4th year, got hurt in camp, and they offered me an injury settlement, and it was enough to give me a 4th credited season. Give me a credit towards all the retirement benefits, all that. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So ended up taking that. Tried to come back. They said it was a 3-week injury. That took me 3 months to come back from it. Bad high ankle sprain. They acted like it was nothing. So they only paid me out 3 games for it. They paid for the rehab and all that to come back, but it was probably another good 2 months before I could actually run on it. And then tried to come back. Had a tryout in Miami. 3rd step into it, completely ruptured my hamstring. And it was either have surgery at that point and get it reattached, or just let it scar down. And you can live with it. You're fine. You just can't perform at that high level. So I just let it scar down at that point. I was like, man, it's time. Like, it was a good way for me to just move on to the next thing in my life.
think we got a
And
few.
what was that next thing in your life? That next was it? I mean, was it? It wasn't the Shark Tank thing, was it? Or what? Did
No,
you kind of bounce around, do a few things?
no. So my wife, after my third year, 3 teams later, 3 moves, she's like, "There's no way in hell I'm finding another job." So she started an online business, and in between my third year and my fourth year, I wasn't with the team for like 2 months. So I started doing a bunch with her. Realized there's a really good opportunity there. Started making some good money on it, and then I went back to the Chargers. But at that point, I knew I had something to fall back on. So got released with the injury, went right back to rehabbing and working with my wife, and it just exploded. So with an online customization business, we just had no clue how to do it, just figured it out. A lot of YouTube videos, stuff like that, and pretty soon, just working out of my house, I was making more money doing that than playing in the NFL. So it ended up being a smooth transition for me, kind of a lucky situation for me as well, because I had no clue what I was going to do. I was actually thinking of doing taxes because I had an accounting degree, and I realized that once you got to the NFL, no one's ever filed taxes, and they have no clue how to do it, and you have to file in each and every state. So guys are paying thousands of dollars to get their taxes done, and what I realized really quickly was you have no write-offs because you make so much damn money that you can't write off anything anyway. So it was super easy to do your taxes. It was like, all right, here's how much I made. Now take the full amount, and that was pretty much it. You had your lawyer or your agent fees, and you had the union fees, and that was it. Other than that, there wasn't really much else you could do because you phased out of every other benefit, so or credit for taxes. So it still drives me crazy that people think NFL players don't pay taxes because you get absolutely crushed by them. But yeah, that was that, and then wife's business for about 5 years, and then I thought of the idea for the bottle, the shaker bottle, and then got on Shark Tank at that point.
We actually got a question in the comments. You put up the question from Logan.
Yep.
Heck yeah. What's up? Yeah, could definitely answer that. Best advice.
Well, hold on real quick because we're gonna put this on. Oh yeah, my bad. Read the question for us because it's actually on we have the YouTube, but we also have this go on a pod version. So let people know
cool.
what the question is.
The question coming in, Chris, what's your best advice for young entrepreneurs performing pitches to investors, etc.? So, man, first off, go in there, know your stuff. If you don't know your stuff, if you're nervous at all because you don't know your stuff, they're gonna know. You better have confidence going in. My Shark Tank pitch, I watched every single episode of Shark Tank. I wrote down every single question. I had an answer prepared before they even asked it, and then I knew every single thing about the business, the numbers, where I was going. If you're pitching, have a budget, have a forecast. That's one thing I didn't have that I wish I did, but they need a roadmap. If someone's going to invest money into your company, they're going to want to know exactly how much they're getting back and when they're getting it back. So have that all planned out, have that ready to go. And just as a young entrepreneur, be passionate about what you're doing because that also shows as well. If you're doing something you love, you're going to get people on board just because they see that passion. They know you're going to figure it out just because you love what you're doing. So that's a big part of it as well. Go in there and be enthusiastic about what you're doing because that definitely shines through.
See if we got a few more. I think that was the only question asked.
That was the only question. What was it? So I have a question about Shark Tank. The Shark Tank question. So, and I didn't get a chance to watch yours. I think I actually had a friend go in there like some years ago with a pretzel company. Actually, her husband played center at Florida State during on the '99 team. But so, what are they? Is it like really all business when you go in there, or do you get a chance to like say hi at least, like hey, you're Mr. Wonderful or whatever, or you're Mark Cuban or blah blah blah, or is it just we in and out?
Nah, so you're in and out because they're filming multiple shows in one day. So they're probably I think they film 5 or 6 every day, and they do that for like weeks in a row. So by the time you get in there, man, they've seen like hundreds of pitches already. They just want to get through it for the most part, or like get it started, man, and get it cranking. So you walk in, they're all sitting there. They're not like staring you down like people act like on TV. They're not like looking through you or anything. They're kind of chilling. They're kind of taking notes from the previous pitch. They're talking to each other when you walk in. So it's not that intimidating like people think it is. What's hard is, man, like when you walk into a room and there's cameras spinning all around you and there's lights on you and you got to stand there for like a minute, that's when you start kind of getting nervous. You kind of freeze up a little bit, but it's kind of like right before kickoff, and you're sitting there and you're like, man, just kick this damn ball, man. Like, let's get this thing started. And that's really the only time that I was nervous. But man, show was awesome. It's everything you think it is. The pitches are really a lot longer than TV. They're pulling the best 5-6 minutes out. But you're really in that room for, I was probably in there for over an hour, and they drilled me on everything from, what I did in high school for work, what I did in college, my major, all that, what I did right afterwards. They knew everything about me from, schools I went to, grades, why I transferred, all that stuff. They drilled me on, and, they were trying to figure out me as a person as well, not just the business. So, that stuff just isn't as exciting for TV. So they only show the stuff like, playing flip cup and closing deals. And that's pretty much it. So that's really how the show goes down.
So you got grilled worse in Shark Tank than you did like by with your NFL interviews?
Oh man, the NFL interviews were just all about partying. They were like, yeah, you guys in a frat, or like, what's up with that hot tub in the backyard? That was our questions for the NFL. So yeah, those were easy. Those questions were easy compared to Shark Tank.
Yeah, good. I got a quick question real quick. I know one thing I admire, not only that you're a fullback, is the fact that you were able to make that transition after the game. I don't think people really understand how difficult it is. And what advice could you offer for somebody? Because I see a lot of people, they make the transition, or they try to make the transition, and they're doing pretty well for themselves, but they're still thinking in their mind, I still want to play. And they kind of shut themselves down from making any progress later on in life. And I try to tell a lot of them, and we don't want to hear it when we're young, that you can't play forever. You got to figure out a plan. But what would be your advice to people like that going through that situation, struggling?
Man, it's the hardest part. That's why I said before, like, my injury was almost a blessing. It was that end where I knew, like, hey, it's over. And it's hard to get to that point without something like that happening, because there's always that what if. What if I worked out for another week, someone might call me, or someone else might get hurt, or something else might come up. But my advice, man, is to start something, like start working somewhere, start a passion, do something, and have a game plan. Get it on the calendar and say, hey, up to this point, I'm going to try. If it don't work, it's over, kind of thing. And this is what I'm going to do. These are the steps I'm going to take to make myself and maximize it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And then here's my game plan afterwards. So, you have to have a plan B at that point. And you have to start doing something else, because you're putting yourself way behind. If you don't start something, at some point you're going to start over. Even if you make the team one more year, you're going to be back in that position again. So, start thinking about it, start doing it, start getting that in motion, because it's eventually going to come. I mean, I played 4 years. I was out at age 26, which, that's crazy. Even if you played 10 years, my brother's 10 years in, he'd be 31 years old. When he first retired, he was 30 years old. So, man, you could have an amazing career, but after it, no matter how much money you made, you still need something to do afterwards. And you need something that's going to, first off, something you want to do, be passionate about, but something that challenges you too. Because I'm sure you guys know, man, like, once you're an athlete, you have to be challenged afterwards in something. You have to find a way to challenge yourself, or kind of like lose your mind, man. Like, I cannot sit around and just do nothing. Like, I have to compete in something at some point every day, because that's just bred into you at this point.
You said something that I was actually finna ask. A lot of athletes, I see them, they make that transition, and we're warriors. Like, our whole entire life, we have to go into a mindset of being a warrior. And transitioning for a lot of people, I think it's tough for them, because they try to get away from that. And it's tough adjusting to the real world, knowing that you're a beast, you're an absolute beast, and you trained yourself to be like this and think like this. How was the transition for you, applying those same skill sets and that mindset to the business world?
It's very similar, man. I think what really people miss the most too is also like that team feel. You walk in that locker room, everyone has the same goal, everyone's on the same page, everyone's trying to do the same thing. And also that structure. So you're told when you better be there, and if you're not there, you get fined. So you're so used to that structure. You got to be there at this exact time. Then all of a sudden, man, you lose that team feel, and you have no structure. You can literally sleep in as long as you want, do whatever you want. So for me, what I did is I had to find a way to bring that same structure, that same mentality to business. It actually took me a while to get there. You think it'd be easy because we played sports our whole lives, but I was so competitive that it was hard for me to build a team because I wanted to do it all myself. I was like, nah, I could do it better than you. I could do it better than you. But at the end of the day, even if I could do it better than them, I didn't have enough time to do it. I couldn't do it to the best of my ability because it was impossible. Even if I worked 80 to 100 hours a week, which I was doing at that time, I still couldn't do it as good as they could because I didn't have enough time to do it. So at that point, it was, let's take what I learned in the NFL. Let's take this mentality and let's apply that, man. I'm now the head coach. I'm the head coach of my business. I have assistant coaches now. I have players too, and that's how you have to look at it. And everybody's a part of it, and everyone plays a role. And once you build that, and once you have that structure again, you're like, this is absolutely amazing. This is why I love playing sports. This is why I love the NFL, because you have that feel again. Everyone knows what to do. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, and that's when you become very successful. It's crazy that it took me almost 4 years to kind of realize that. But once I realized that, football and sports is the same thing as business. It's the same thing. It's just a different team doing it a different way.
As a fullback and as a beast and you have to be an aggressive individual. You're also a big brother. So anytime, like how do you control yourself? Like when you see some critics or some skeptics of your siblings. 'Cause I know how I am. My big sister's a lawyer. I want to punch people, or when people come at me, sometimes I'm like, dude, you forgot that I ran purposely into people for a living. Like, what makes you think I don't? Like, I may be a cage lion because I ain't got a step, but a lion's still a lion, though. Like, I might feel real lion-like today. How do you control yourself, or do you still feel that urge sometimes to be like, man, if I catch your IP address, I'm gonna whoop your ass?
Yeah, you're always gonna feel it, man. Always gonna have that, but you got to pull back. It's just you learn how to after a while too, because the first couple times you see it, you go crazy, man. You blast them, and then you realize, man, you're just wasting your time. At the end of the day, you're giving them their high that they're looking for, and man, it's doing nothing for you. You're never gonna win, especially online. So, man, I learned to kind of ignore it, or I thank them. I say, man, thanks for the comment. You just helped to boost our algorithm. Really appreciate that. Or, man, that's kind of how I do it. I usually don't even respond back though at this point, because all they're looking for is they're looking to get under your skin, and that's it. That's how some people are.
What was some of the motivators that got you outside again? You said one of them that was big, but you didn't want to be the only brother to not make it to a professional team. But outside of that, what were some of the other motivators that put you? And also, what was it like outside of the fighting? Like, what was Mama Gronk? What was Daddy Gronk like?
Yeah, man, for sure. I think one of the biggest things that helped me make the team was having my college roommate with me. He was from Maryland. We both ended up being undrafted. Actually, I have his jersey on my wall. His name was Phil Costa. He played center. But getting in there with someone that is in that same situation as you, it's probably the best thing that can happen, man, because we held each other accountable. So it's kind of like working out with someone, man. When you have a workout partner, you're going to go harder. You're going to push harder every single time. So I think that was big. It's hard to do that. I got super lucky again with that. But, man, we went all out, and we really challenged each other to stay on track. So that was probably one of the best things that could happen to me as well. Man, Mama Gronk. Shout out to Mama Gronk. 5 boys. Man, I got 3 boys right now, and I'm like, first off, I'm like, Mom and Dad, why'd you have 5? Like, what were you thinking? That's insane. But my mom, she it was a full-time job. You got to think about it. 5 boys. We all played multiple sports, and we all were on multiple teams at the same time. So it wasn't just like, you played on a house baseball team. You played on a house baseball team plus a travel team, and then there was 5 of us doing it at the same time. So I try to put this in perspective. I'm like, Mom, you had 5 of us. We all play multiple sports. You had no cell phone, and it was physically impossible for you to even drive all of us to practice. How'd you do it? And she had this huge calendar, and every day it was completely full, and she'd have to communicate with the other moms on the teams, dads, coaches, whatever it was. It set up a schedule every day to get us all to practice and back, because it was physically impossible for her to do it by herself. And I was just like, that is insanity. And then on top of that, cooked us every single meal, packed our lunches, all that. So when I look back at it, I'm like, Mom, like you basically ran a business. She was like the CEO of the household, which was just like, it's incredible. So a ton of respect to all the moms, especially when you have 5 boys, man, that play sports. That's like next level.
how in the hell do you feed five massive individuals? I just kind of think about my god, like when me and my god, because I have one. Well, with through my mom, I have one sister, but we would go stay at. We had a lot of friends. So shout out to actually Kelly Bailey and Paul Bailey, my god brother Steven. We would go stay at their house. They had four boys. Actually, now I think about it, and it'd be like 10 of us. And here was Saturday morning. She'd get up, make a can of biscuits, right? One can of biscuits, and I think a couple, and then one pack of sausage. And basically, when it was done, put it on the counter. First come, first serve. So if you didn't get up, or if you didn't know how to fight, you probably wasn't eating. Like I think that might be why I'm the only D1 guy. I was the aggressive guy. I always got a biscuit. I always got one. Was it kind of like that? You just cooked it, put it on the table, and after you were like 2 or 3, hey, you gotta learn how to fight these wolves by yourself. Was it like that?
Yeah, and it sucks for my dad because if he came home late from work, he got no food, so he'd be pissed. But, like half that meal, my mom would get mad because she'll be actually making like the batter or whatever it was, and we just eat it out of the bowl before she even made it. It'd be half gone, and she's like, "I didn't even finish making it yet. It's already gone." So exactly how it was. We also weren't allowed to have leftovers. Like that wasn't allowed in our house. So if you didn't eat it all, you didn't go outside and play until you ate all your food. So I never knew what leftovers were. Like that wasn't a thing in our household. You better eat all the food. Everything she made had to be gone before we could get up from the table.
5 kids, man. Shoot, ain't nothing left.
I grew up in a household with a lot of kids, man. I'm the big one. I'm the big little brother. So when I grew up, everybody used to beat up on me and all of this stuff. And then I got of age where like I'm the big one now. So like what's good? I remember getting into it with my brother and all them, but man, mom sacrificed so much, and we had similar situations like that. Like if you don't eat it, you ain't going outside, you ain't going to football practice, none of that. So it's funny to hear you say that.
Yeah. No, that's how it was, man. We didn't have money either. My mom would we had everything passed down. It's funny because like we played hockey. My oldest brother Gordy was 10 years from my youngest brother Glenn. By the time his equipment got to him, it was out of style, man. Like no one wore the baby pants anymore or the Navy helmet. Everyone had like the black, like nice, Nike, gear and all that. And we had like just outdated stuff. And it would be so funny, man, because people make fun of him and then he'd just go and like light him up and be like, oh, all right, never mind. But sold our socks, sold my sweatpants. My mom was sewing back together. I mean, everything was coupons, all that. But, my dad worked 2 jobs for 6 years until he got his business off the ground. But it was the same thing. People now are like, man, it must have been nice having money and all that, but it wasn't like that at all. It was a grind for us, and it was a great way to learn the value of a dollar at a young age, and that just I think helped us excel and just put that hard work in as well.
What was your first pair of cleats? Because we all grew up kind of similar. My mom didn't know anything about sports, so my first pair of cleats were from Payless, and I believe they were Magruders. And they were baseball cleats. So so what was it like, with the equipment? Did they say, hey, okay, well, we're gonna make this last because we got 5 boys and we're gonna give them the good stuff? Or was it like, hey man, this is what we got?
No, it was the garbage stuff for sure. And then it was passed on after that too. So it was man, our hockey equipment smelled so bad. Like it was, you had to air it out. Like after you wore it, you had to go put it in the basement, air it out because it smelled so bad. But that's how it was. Like we didn't have any nice stuff. The first pair of cleats were probably my older brother's cleats. There's no chance they were mine. And I think I had 1 pair of Jordans ever, like not the legit Jordans, like the $60 pair. And that was like the coolest thing because like my mom we probably wouldn't spend more than like $20 on a pair of shoes. That was unheard of.
I just started wearing Jordans, man. Like after I got a little bit of money. I got so mad at my mom. My sons, and I'm sure your kids now are getting blessed. My son doesn't know what it's like to not have cool Nike cleats. Like he comes in, he's a snob. I'm like, dude, you're 8. Like, what do you care about this? Like, he's like, no. And you know who's the one who bought him his first pair of Nike cleats? The lady who bought me McGregor's or Magruders or whatever the hell they were. Like, that told me it doesn't matter. She's over here spoiling the grandkid, but like her own son had to go through there and slum it out until he got good. And when you get, luckily people hook you up with some stuff sometimes. But nah, that's funny, the hand me down stories. I'm sure you got clowned a little bit in school, because so if you got one brother 6'5", and then how tall are you?
So I'm like 6'2" on the dot.
Oh, so you got. Oh man.
Yeah, we got some good outfits, man. I see the old pictures and I'm like, yes, that's funny. We got all just, you'll see my one brother wear it, then like 2 years later you'll see the same photo and I'll be wearing it, the same clothes. And that's how it was, man. And yeah, like you said, you don't know the difference. You don't really care at that point. Some people talk trash, but man, back then, if you could play, you could play. Everyone left you alone at that point. It didn't matter what you were wearing.
That's true.
No doubt. I got a crazy story with that. And I remember coming into, now it may be the same cleats James talking about, the McGregors, McGruders, whatever. My mom take me my first year of football, organized football, and by this time we're like the family that's from the inner city that's getting picked on at the school because we don't really got a lot. And she takes me to Walmart to get some cleats. And I'm like, Mom, you can't get me these cleats. You can't get me these cleats. Like, I'm already hearing it. Like, Mom, we got everybody on the team has Nikes. Like, I'm gonna be the guy that's getting picked on. And she's like, baby, we ain't got the money for them. So we went around to a family member. They got me the Nikes, man. Listen, when I tell you Christmas hit early that year, I'm like, man, I ain't got to wear those. I ain't got to wear those, man. All right, we finna ball this shit.
Yeah, Nikes were legit though, man. Because I was at Maryland, we were the first ones to try out the Under Armour cleats, and so it was kind of like forced upon us. And half the team refused to wear them, so we had to tape the Nike logos up. But man, those things were like bricks. And then that's when I kind of realized, like, man, like, yeah, Nikes they're legit, man. So yeah, you don't want to end up with McGregor's.
right, man. Like I'm gonna go find me. I'm gonna like Google those things or like Amazon or whatever, and I'm gonna force my son just to do one. I ain't gonna make him play tackle football when he does that, but wearing flag now. I'm gonna give him 1 year to be like, hey, this is what your dad had to deal with. Like you ain't gotta always be the cleanest, man. Now something that and then Freddie talked about it too, and then you being the middle child. Something that I dealt with. All my cousins are older than me, so Thanksgiving, I had to. Again, this is how I learned how to fight. Was on Thanksgiving, Christmas, being around my cousins. They weren't like 20 years older than me, but they were like 6 to 10. So they're just old enough for me to be able to try to get in when I got some size, but I ain't big enough to whip their ass. Do you have to still do that with your brothers? Like, do you call Rob and say, hey, listen, don't get it twisted. I'm still big bro and I still can whoop your ass. Do you have to let them know that, or is it kind of like you just saying it, but like you don't know, man? I don't know yet.
So I mean, man, like back in the day, I was like the little fat one, right? So they would make fun of me all day. At one point, like my nipples went in because I was so fat, and that was like their thing. Like, man, that's all they talk about for years. So with that though, I had leverage, man, and like. And I was bigger than him back then too. So man, I could fight back in the day, and so they didn't mess with me. But once we got to high school, he got to like 6'6". That's when we stopped fighting, and since then we don't fight anymore. It's all good now. We just compete in other things. We had like a stadium blitz tour that we were doing, like an obstacle course race through stadiums as a 5K. Like we do stuff like that. Man, just a lot of like just little like drinking games almost. So like cornhole, stuff like that, we'll get super competitive with. But yeah, we haven't brawled in years. So it's been, there's no reason to. So, but yeah, I mean,
it's all fun.
Last fight I definitely won. That's all I know. There's times, man, where I thought I killed him. So I'm glad I didn't. But there's some times where he was crazy, man. So he was Rob didn't. I don't know if he just didn't feel pain or what, but he was the only one that would jump up from one older brother to two older brothers. So he wouldn't just go after me. He'd go after my brother Dan, who was an absolute beast. And Dan would just absolutely destroy him, man. And so would I. But like he was the only one crazy enough to do that. It just didn't even make sense. But there was times where he came behind me with a hockey stick, took it over my back when I wasn't looking. I chased him, and what we used to do back in the day, like when you did something like that, you go lock the bathroom door and you hide in there until the person cooled off a little bit. So he got me over the back with a stick, huge welt on my back. I chased him. He tried to lock himself in the bathroom, but I caught it before he got it actually closed. And with that, my momentum just launched him into the bathtub. He flew backwards and smashed his head, and he was out. So he was like, man, like out cold. It was like good 5 seconds, wasn't moving. And I was like, uh-oh, we got problems here. Got back up, and man, I went back in the room. I was chilling. I'm like, well, at least we're not going to fight the rest of the night, right? 5 minutes later, comes back, hockey stick again across my back. I'm like, no freaking way, man. You're just basically dead, and now you're back, fighting again. So all out brawl again. Like we used to throw each other down the stairs, all that, man. It was crazy, but he just never stopped. I think he just liked the punishment. We used to just hold him down and just like as many Charlie horses as you could. First your thighs and then your shoulder, and just boom, boom, just lighting him up and just keep coming back for more, man. It was crazy.
Man, it must have been the milk commercials. Like, remember how they used to say make your bones stronger or something? Like, and now we've got organic. What are they drinking? The nut juice. What is it?
Like,
almond milk. Almond milk. I don't think the kids' bones got to be more brittle because like we jumped off of the. I don't know if you guys. I mean, it might have just been us crazy, but we would jump off the top of like roofs, like just to see if we could do stuff. Then, one kid had a bike in my neighborhood, but there was a hill, and it was like a little. Like a little ramp, like we were literally riding down that hill. It like our parents had insurance. It's just the things that we did, and the fact that I didn't. The first injury I ever had was a broken hand in college, and I'm sitting here like, how did I live? Some of the things that we did, or how did we not kill somebody? But those are great stories, man. I can definitely relate to that.
We did all that too, man. All that. Jumped off the roof onto the trampoline. That was a go-to.
Oh, yeah.
You had to get as much height as possible. So you had to jump off the roof onto the trampoline. And then once you got good at that, then you had to try to do a flip after you jumped off the roof onto the trampoline. But yeah, we had a hill, like the end of our street, a huge dirt hill, probably like 20 feet high. And the one side was just straight down. And so we always thought it was a good idea to like see who could make it down the hill on your dirt bike or on your mountain bike. Just like straight down, and we flip over the handlebars, like whole face, everything just bleeding, and we're like, just kept doing it. I don't know why, but yeah, same thing. The ramps, we had a snowmobile. We go over the ramps with it, and all that. It was out of control. Now I look at it, I'm like, my kids do that, I'm gonna tell them to stop.
Right,
man. Yeah, it was crazy back then.
And you brought up some no cell phone.
At 2%
That's the
milk,
craziest.
Yeah, no cell. But no milk. Going back to milk, my mom would buy 6 to 8 gallons at a time. So every time she went, she bought at least 6 gallons of milk. We had 3 refrigerators, or I guess 2 refrigerators, and then a big freezer. So she stack up on milk. We drank so much milk, and I know people are all against like dairy now, and supposedly it's bad for you and all that. But man, I still drink a ton of milk to this day, and we crush milk in the day.
Yeah, I know all the science about milk, but then I see these kids in 8th grade that are 6, 7, and I want my son to have a chance. So they drink milk. Both my kids drink a ton of milk. I'm like, hey, we'll deal with the consequences if they're that later on down in life. But right now, I need you to be big. So we're gonna drink some milk, man.
Man, one of my agent I first signed with, that was his big thing. He's like, everyone I sign, like when I talk to them, the one thing in common with them is they drank a lot of milk growing up. He said that was like a major link between NFL players was they all drank a lot of milk. So I thought that was pretty interesting when he told me that. So I don't know. I mean, I got nothing wrong with milk. I love milk.
I'm a big dairy guy. Cold Stone, I might be the number one fan. Tag Cold Stone in this, but you can't have the birthday cake remix without milk. That's why I'm a big dairy fan. I love ice cream. So anybody that got something crazy to say about dairy, get out of here, because probably after this, I'm going to get me some Cold Stone.
Yeah, man. Ice cream, that was my go-to when I was playing. I mean, you could eat whatever you want back then. So,
right. I love that ice cream. We have everyone in my book. I don't know if you saw it, Freddie. We had ice cream at the book bag giveaway. We're gonna always have ice cream truck.
I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah, man. It's just that was one of the best things about growing up in my neighborhood. Like one of the is you heard the ice cream man, and then when they play that song, man, you just like, all right, let me go put what little bit of bread we got. I'm gonna put my coins together and go get me something good. But yeah, but milk, like shoot, I go through it now. I got with my 8-year-old and my almost 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old, like. We go through about 6-8 gallons just with them two. The 8-year-old drinks milk like it's water, and then my 2-year-old that's all he wants is milk. So I'm like, hey, if that's the secret, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell your agent I'm gonna follow that secret.
Yeah,
That's what we rolling with.
yeah, man. Yeah,
But
I like the comment below too. You need him for the milk crate challenge, man.
yeah, that's crazy. Now that's what I have.
What
What are your thoughts on the milk crate challenge?
was that?
What's your thoughts on the milk crate challenge?
Oh, people are crazy, man. But they'll do anything to go viral, so it's all good. I like watching it.
Yeah, I like the falls.
Yeah, someone's gonna break their neck and it's gonna be over with. But man, until then, they're pretty funny to watch.
I feel like we don't see enough athletes out there, man. I'm looking at the craze tip over. I'm like, none of these people prepared to fall. I see nobody landing, making a clean landing on the ground. I'm like, man, it can't be any athletes doing these challenges.
No, they definitely don't have smooth landings. But I think, man, I think I would be too heavy. I'm guessing like if we stepped on one of those, they're probably going to collapse almost immediately. I mean, it looks like most of the people doing it are like 180 or less. So, man, I think if I stepped on that right now, it would probably just completely break. So, I'm definitely not trying it. I'm good. If you guys do it though, I'll watch it.
I just got out of the hospital. I ain't trying to go there for no damn milk crates. So
Man,
I'm good just watching people.
Like once you leave, like once you stop playing too, I don't know if it's for you guys or not, but like I'll play pickup basketball, stuff like that. And if someone hits me hard, I'm like, man, like I don't want to be hit anymore. Like I don't want to get hurt anymore. Like I'm over that stage in my life. So I'm not trying to do anything crazy like that at this point. Like I took enough hits, enough injuries. My body's taking enough punishment. Like I don't need to do that to myself anymore.
I'm right with you. I box a lot, and one day I sparred with I'm actually my gym I go to got a lot of pros. Like one guy, he'll be on ESPN in a few weeks. He's a heavyweight, and one time they had me hop in there, and I guess they were trying to get me prepared to do it. I'm like, man, I'm not trying to be a boss. I'm just trying to be in shape. And they hit me one time. I was in there messing around a little bit. They hit me one time. I'm like, yeah, I ain't got no time for this. I'm gonna just do some bad work.
Man, yeah, like this is the crazy. So I let somebody talk me in, and I was still relatively young then. I let somebody talk me into playing adult flag football. Man, I came out there and I'm looking at. I said, oh, y'all playing real? Y'all playing for real? Say, nah, I'm not finna pull my hamstring. I said, I've tried to get it. Like I like, there's some things I do to stay competitive. But I'm like, man, I can't do this for free, man. I said, once you've been paid to do this, it kind of throws you off. And everybody's comparing themselves to you. And I'm like, no, I'm a shell right now. You beat me. You didn't beat the guy. You didn't beat that guy a few years ago, man. I still have some elite qualities, but I ain't elite. I'm washed. Another thing, too, is have you ever noticed when people shake your hand, they always are trying to they're trying to win the handshake, and you're just trying to give them a good firm handshake, and they're trying to crush you.
And man, no, flag football though, that's a completely different skill set too. Like I did the same thing. People are like, "Oh, you got to come play." I'm like, "All right, yo, I'll come play, whatever." I'm not like a receiver or anything like that. But when you play flag football, man, that's a lot. It's all strategy, and it's not like long passes. All they do is throw little short shit, and then they run because you can't pull the damn flag. It's so hard to pull it. So, halfway into it, we're throwing bombs, going up, trying to do it big, and the other team's just throwing 5-yard shorts all day. I'm like, man, it's all strategy. That's it. And then all you do is run crossing routes the whole time. So you have to actually know how to play, or have a quarterback or someone on your team that knows how to play, or you just get demolished, man. So that was my one outing with that flag football. I'm like, man, this is stupid. I need to actually, if I want to come play and try to win, I actually have to have some kind of game plan here. You can't just go out there and play flag football. It's completely different.
Thanks. That may be may be it for us, man. I tell you, this one was a fun one.
Yeah, man.
Super dope, man. I appreciate you coming on with us for real.
Yeah, for sure, guys. No, thanks for having me. And I know this is live. It's shared as well afterwards, so I can hit it on my pages as well.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on your Twitter right now. So we got the live Twitter show. You should have been added on that, and we'll make sure you get the YouTube stream and the SoundCloud. But can you tell everybody how to keep up with you, how to support, or if they want to get in contact with you, what they should do?
Yeah, for sure. Check me out. I'm everywhere. So Twitter, my TikTok's big about NFL behind the scenes kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Instagram, it's all at my name. So at Chris Gronkowski on all that. But yeah, just hit me up on any of the social pages, man, or just follow me on them. So check out the product. The business is Ice Shaker, iceshaker.com. Check that out. Looking to get the best bottle in the game. But man, that's it for me. I appreciate you guys having me on today.
Man, thanks, Chris. And I guess you can log off, or I'm just gonna basically close this off. But this is at Big Game James _36 at Struggle Made 105 Freddie Stevenson at Chris Gronkowski at Chris Gronkowski. This is Inside Drills, where we hit you with hard hitting topics, talking about life, talking about football, talking about different things, but from a real perspective as people who have lived it. Everybody can tell you how to do it, but they never lived it. Signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, we got 3 shows next week. We have every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We'll have our Inside Drill show. But next week, me and Freddie's alma mater, playing Notre Dame. Got to have a heavy Florida State week with that big game for Labor Day weekend. So tune in next week. Please like, share, tag people at Inside Drills on Twitter. Also at SportsDen_live on all your social media platforms. We're trying to get that YouTube channel over 1,000. Make sure you like that, and we'll see you guys next week.